Hello, Agora. It's Mr. Montgomery, your third through fifth grade assistant principal. Happy June. Happy end of the school year. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, grandfathers, uncles, and anyone else serving as a father figure in your household. I am here today for Father's Day to read one of my kids' favorite books. We love Curious George in our house, whether it's reading the stories or watching the show on TV. And I thought since it is the beginning of summer, what better book to read than Curious George Goes to the Beach? Again, this is one of my kids' favorite. And as we go through, I'll point out some of the things that have actually happened and I'm sure have happened to you in real life. This is George. He lived with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, the man had a surprise for George. He took George to the beach. How many of you have ever been to the beach? They found a spot on the warm sand. Then, another surprise. George saw his friend Betsy. Look, Betsy, her grandmother said. It's Curious George. But Betsy did not even smile. She had never been to the ocean before. She was scared. I know you're a good swimmer, the man told her. You'll be fine once you get in the water. Feeling better, Betsy walked toward the shore with her grandmother. George helped spread the beach blanket and set aside their lunch. He was looking forward to a picnic, but it was not yet time to eat. How many of you have ever had a picnic at the beach? Or when you're setting up for your day at the beach, you put the blankets, the umbrella. I know with us, we have the blankets, the umbrellas, the chairs, the toys, boogie boards, the picnic baskets, the cooler with the drinks. So we tend to take a lot of stuff to the beach, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. It was time to play. In no time, George was having fun. He learned a new game. He dug in the sand and he made a new friend. Monkeys are very good at making friends. When he took a break, George watched the lifeguard. The lifeguard sat in a special chair. Sometimes he blew a whistle, and sometimes he looked through binoculars. It looked like fun to be a lifeguard. George was curious. Could he be a lifeguard? Before long, the lifeguard took a break. Here's George's chance. Uh oh. Do you guys think you can see where this is going to go? I wonder if George is going to get into some trouble. Watching the crowd from up in a special chair, George felt just like a lifeguard. He looked through the binoculars. There was lots to see at the beach. Wow, there is so much going on there. People swimming, playing games, packing their lunches, building sandcastles. There's even a lady walking her dog. Lots of things to do on the beach. He saw seagulls flying high above, and he saw Betsy on the shore below. She had still not been in the water. Then the lifeguards saw George. Hey, he yelled, that's no place for a monkey. George thought it was a fine place for a monkey, but he did not want to cause trouble, so he climbed down. Has anybody ever seen a monkey at the beach before? Me neither. Back at the beach blanket, George was hungry for a snack. No one would miss just one cracker, thought George. He took one out and put it on a napkin. It looked good. Now, if only he had some cheese. Uh-oh. What happened to his cracker? What do you guys think happened to his cracker? Well, he would just have to get a new one. George found another cracker and turned back around. But now his cheese was gone. Who could be taking his snacks? George was curious. He put down the cracker and waited. Now George saw who was taking his treats. It was a seagull, and he was still hungry. George took out another cracker, and the bird took it right out of his hand. What fun to feed a seagull. Now, I don't know about you guys. I've had this happen to me before. One time we were sitting on the beach and we were getting our sandwiches out and always wrapped half of it up in foil while we were eating the other half. But the seagull came right down, swooped in, and took the sandwich right out of my hands. I've never seen anything like it. And then all of a sudden his friends came. So you got to be careful feeding the seagulls at the beach. George saw more seagulls down by the water. Betsy was there too. George was curious. Could those seagulls be hungry? What do you guys think? I think I know the answer. Indeed, they were hungry. Soon a whole flock had gathered. George could not feed them fast enough. Luckily, Betsy was glad to help. Out of the basket came more crackers, cookies, a cake, and even the bread for the sandwiches. Uh-oh. Still, the birds were hungry. But when George reached for more snacks, the basket was gone. He and Betsy were having so much fun they didn't even notice the tide coming in. They didn't notice the picnic basket was floating out to sea. George felt bad. He hadn't meant to lose the basket. Could there be a way to catch it? George thought and thought. What do you guys think? How can they go get the basket? Then he remembered the lifeguard. George was no lifeguard, but to save the basket, he knew just what to do. Quickly, he found a float and carried it to the water. Jumping aboard, George began to paddle. He paddled out a little farther and a little farther and a little farther until finally he reached the basket. Betsy cheered. Then, as George paddled back to the beach, Betsy swam out to meet him. Everyone was glad to see George safe on the shore. The lifeguard, who had seen everything from his chair, said, "That was some rescue." George felt proud. The man with the yellow hat picked up the basket. He was curious. "George, is this our basket?" he asked. Poor George. After all that, the basket was empty. There would be no picnic on the beach, and it was all his fault. Then Betsy's grandmother said, "Won't you join us for lunch? We have plenty. And look, now we have a reason to celebrate thanks to George." They did have a reason to celebrate. Betsy was in the water, and she wasn't scared anymore. She was having fun. After everyone joined Betsy and George for a swim, it was time to eat at last. There were sandwiches and chips, bananas, cookies, and watermelon. There was plenty for everyone, and there was even a little for guests. The end. Well, thank you guys all for joining me for, again, one of my kids' favorite books at one of their favorite places. Curious George Goes to the Beach. And whether you guys are going to the beach, going to the mountains, or anywhere else on vacation this summer, sometimes you might just stay at home. Sometimes I like to do that and just relax around my house. Whatever it is you guys do, please have a safe and enjoyable summer. Get some rest. You guys have all worked hard this school year, and I know I'm going to get some rest, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the fall. Happy summer and happy Father's Day, everyone.